I'll do an intro, something like that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first presidential debate of the season 4 season. I'm your co-host, Chuck Todd, and we are here joined by our moderator, Jamal Jones, the candidates, President Pro Rob Wheeler, and Vice President Megatron.
Thank you, Mr. Nixon.
All right, now we will be going now to Jamal Jones. We want to thank everyone here who was in attendance, and we want to also thank the University of Phoenix, Arizona, the University of Grand Canyon University in Phoenix, for allowing us to go on this debate stage and to have these two candidates here speak about the much needed policy that is in concern to millions of Americans here today. We will first start out with opening statements. And from a coin toss, we will first start out with Vice President Megatron. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. I'll keep my remarks brief. I believe that my thesis for the nation is far more compelling than what the Democrats are willing to offer. I believe that the Republican agenda and the platform is much more coherent and is much more consistent with the historical values, principles, and ideals of the Republican Party. While I do respect Mr. President Mr. President pro tempore Rob Wheeler, I do recognize that I would be a more effective fit given my experience in the vice president role and my past work alongside political figures like James Reason and George Reagan, who, as I'm sure everyone is aware, have held the presidential office, have held the office at 1800 Pennsylvania Avenue in the past, and concurrently. And yeah, I mean, I guess that practically sums it up. I mean, I just believe I'm a superior candidate to Mr. Wheeler, and I do believe that I am the right choice for Americans come this next election, and that together with alongside the Congress and alongside ordinary Americans, I intend on building a much more a prosperous, honest, and decent nation that isn't characterized by constant conflict in East Asia, by complete moral and social decline, economic collapse, and by a propensity to wage war with historic allies such as Canada. So yeah, I yield the remainder of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Now to you, Senator Wheeler.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones. Thank you, Mr. Vice President, for showing up finally. I really appreciate this opportunity to debate the serious issues of our time in this moment of catastrophe. Every single person in here, no matter what your political ideology is, knows this is a moment of great strife in this world. Inflation from corporate profit price gouging is causing all of us to not be able to pay for gas at the pump, pay for food at our table, pay for the basic necessities, the public utilities that we need in this modern era, electricity, heating, etc. This is hurting our ability as working class people to live. And when Vice President Megatron and others talk about a dying culture, the end of a republic, a great republic, they're right. And people are right to be angry. But if we're going to address that shallow culture, if we're going to address that political strife, the catastrophes of our time, it takes political courage that is proactive and engaged, ready to deal with the issues in a serious manner, with a vision of the future that will take on a political elite and corporate oligarchy which stand between us and a true republic of, by, and for the people which our founders tried to enshrine. I've spent my time in the United States Senate and in the Navy fighting for you, the American people. I've spent my time reforming a broken Senate run by people who cared only for themselves. I reformed it by making sure that we were active, engaged. Every single senator, no matter what side, would agree with you that we have a Senate that actually gets something done these days. That same thing can't be said for the House. I could do that for the American people. In the White House, we can get it done. Reforming the community, bringing back engagement, and being a real and true president, which brings a republic of, by, and for the people. We can enshrine working class protections and make sure that we bring back a culture of substance and truth. This is a moment which requires courage of us. Courage not just from me, but every single one of you in this country. Every single one of you being able to say enough is enough to a system which treats all of us, white, black, brown, women, man, whatever you are, as inhuman. We will deal with that system once and for all, bring God back to our world, and make our culture full once again. We will truly make America great again. I hope that throughout this debate, we will talk about those deep and true issues, and I look forward to engaging on them. Thank you again, Mr. Jones.
All right, now we will now go on to the regular questioning, and on this discussion, both candidates will receive 3 minutes to answer each question that will be laid out on the table, and as well, we will also be allowing rebuttals to be on the scale to 1 minute to 2 minutes, speaking on the same exact subject. We will now move towards the first question, and we will now go to Senator Wheeler on this. Recently, among months past, when it comes to provincial politics, there has been multiple lawsuits, including recalls on governors, in which many cases have gone over provincial law, and always going to the jurisdiction of the federal government and on this the federal judicial system. The question is to you, when it comes to provincial politics, do you think that we should ensure on more decentralization of the federal government to grant more autonomy towards our provincial states, or should we strengthen the federal power to ensure instances, as we have seen before, to be repeated again?
Well, I mean, I'll take the question if it's open. This is a tough but true question.
Well, it was your question, so.
Okay, well, I didn't hear that. Thanks for interrupting.
Would you like me to ask the question again?
I know the question.
Okay.
Okay. Great start. Anyway, okay, here we go. This question is very important, and I hear it very totally. I don't support the federal government stepping in and making laws on any recall in regards to what the state has to do. Provinces have the right to do what provinces want to do. If the province passed in their constitution allowing them to do recalls every single day, then we as a federal government would have to allow that. And however much Governor Sean English would probably be a bit annoyed by that, the people of Yellowstone would have had their say, and it would have been implemented in policy. My whole vision is about bringing the people's vision into law, something that has yet to happen in this country. That can only be done through the localities, through municipalities, and when it comes to legislation, you can ensure that I will get that done in every single piece of legislation that I've done. When it comes to the infrastructure bill, I didn't pass some big federal legislation that the Republicans tried to pass where there was 20 billion some odd dollars with no oversight, no accountability, would have to have created a whole government bureaucracy, and they claim to be small government party. I created an infrastructure bill that created a grant program, decreased bureaucracy, brought it off to the municipalities, the localities, had towns choose what infrastructure project needed to be done. They could bring a project to the Fed, and the Fed would aid them in that project. I believe in a federal government. I believe in a union of states. But that federal government has to be there as an aid of the states, only as that. Not as a forcing arm, not as an oppressive arm. We cannot make decisions for the states, and I totally will stand opposed to anyone who tries to do that.
All right, thank you. The same question will go to Vice President Megatron.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Well, I see a lot of alignment between myself and the Senator Wheeler with regards to this issue. As many of you know, I haven't been a Republican for a long period of time, and my history in the House of Reps and as a advisor to various administrations, I've often been an advocate for greater decentralization of and delineation of authority, autonomy, and power. With regards to the Sean English question and the question about recalls, I believe that it is within the right, or it is the right of the states to decide how they choose to handle their own affairs and how to address their own affairs, and how they choose whether or not to depart from a certain political vision and a certain political cast of characters and embrace a new cast. Because I believe in a democratic nation. I believe in a federal republic, but I believe that the people's will should be heard in their respective provinces, municipalities, and communities. With regards to what Wheeler proposed regarding the grant program, the issues I really saw with the grant program was that it encouraged rent-seeking behavior from states in the sense that they would then lobby, or states and communities would then lobby the federal government for those funds, and it would, in effect, create a bureaucracy, regardless of whether or not it was managed solely by the federal government or was delineated or was arbitrated by the federal government and then delineated into the state governments. What I would propose more fundamentally, and this is what I've proposed to Mr. Wheeler and others when drafting budgets, is that we decentralize many of our social safety nets or decentralize many of our mandatory spending. I've often tried to legislate a bill that was centered around decentralizing our Medicare and Social Security systems and handing these issues back to the states because, fundamentally speaking, I don't believe a one-size-fits-all solution works for every person in this nation. I think the people in New Hampshire and Maine are far different from the people of California and Oregon. I believe the people of Alaska and Hawaii are far different from the people of Florida and Georgia. And I think that recognizing these differences and granting these states and provinces to then delineate their authority or to then choose how to manage their own affairs would allow us to achieve far more success with regards to the competency and efficacy of these social institutions and would help restore some social credit back to the United States. And lastly, this is the last point I'll make with regards to this issue. Again, I believe in a democratized nation. I believe that, the decentralization of power is fundamental to kind of remaining true to this Jeffersonian vision of an American republic, and that the federal government handles certain big topic issues like the military and slavery and what have you. But when it comes to these various issues that are topical or that there is great variance in, that people should be granted the autonomy to make their own decisions. And I
totally agree. The federal
Thank you,
government
Mr.
should
Vice
handle the
President.
slaves.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr.
the
Vice
issue
President.
of slavery, Mr.
I'm
Senator.
kidding.
Do not take my words out of context.
I'm
Thank you.
joking.
Gentlemen, we will now move to the rebuttal phase. If any other candidate would like to rebut each other,
I would. I have more of a response. I mean, Megatron went on to say that we disagree, but he said everything that I said in a longer way. Decentralized government. We need a federal government that's there to aid the people. I don't necessarily, I don't know why he mentioned slavery, but I get the point that he was making. And that, at the end of the day, I'm glad we both agree on that. All I know is in terms of his response to the infrastructure bill, he voted for the infrastructure bill. He supported the infrastructure bill. We worked together on the infrastructure bill, so it's pretty politically opportunist for you to come on here and say that you had some disagreement with it. I mean, we worked those disagreements out in private because we were good legislators at the time. So no disagreements here, and we both agree in a decentralized government. I think we're both committed to that principle.
With regards to the infrastructure bill thing, if you mind, Mr. Jones, well, the main reason I bring it up, or the main reason I, sideline it, is because I agreed to it as an alternative to another infrastructure bill, right? And that's what people need to consider, is that, yes, it was the lesser of two evils, but it in and of itself wasn't necessarily centered around decentralization, more so than it was centered around granting the federal government the ability to arbitrate and decide how these funds are delineated. I would much prefer leaving the issue of infrastructure to the states and allowing various states to come to consensus regarding how they choose to kind of make their or to how to make their infrastructure more cohesive. I certainly did work with Mr. Wheeler, and we did make the or we did fine tune the bill,
Thank
and I
you.
am willing to recognize that because again, like I'm not, a political opportunist or what have you. We were, the best legislators in our respective houses, I believe so, or in our respective chambers, pardon me. But yeah, no, I believe that understanding that there
All
is a
right, now thank
fundamental.
you, gentlemen. Your time is done. We will
Okay,
now move
thank
to
you,
the
Mr.
next topic. Moving away um, from the discussion question at hand, we will now move towards healthcare. Um, One of the most highlighted things, of course, just a few months back, the World Health Organization uh, had categorized the Spanish
True.
flu, the second coming of the Spanish flu, as a coming epidemic. Adding this on, especially when it comes towards the rising uninsured um, of Americans now reaching over 70 million nationwide. My question is to you first, Vice President Megatron. What will be your plan to ensure that we both answer towards a looming global healthcare uh, uh, um, epidemic, excuse me, and also a nationwide healthcare crisis where more and more Americans have faced uninsured access to healthcare?
Why, thank you, Mr. Jones. Well, firstly, with regards to the World Health Organization's various comments regarding the reemergence of the Spanish flu, was it? The Health Organization isn't an institution to be trusted. It's run by globalists and neoliberal elites trying to propagate the same tired message about how we need to unite as a world and deplete American resources to fund some foreign nation, and how the United States must basically capitulate itself to the wills and whims of other nations in the interests of other global elites, if it is to be a decent global player. No, I don't take the World Health Organization seriously, and I believe that if there were a reemergence of the Spanish flu, we should spend a considerable number of resources into researching or into finding out whether or not the World Health Organization had anything to do with it, because I wouldn't put it past them to organize such a false flag. Moreover, with regards to the issue of Americans and healthcare, I believe that it mainly stems from the fact that the federal government has overstepped with regards to healthcare. It has tried to resolve, or it has tried to legislate and regulate the healthcare industry to a very tedious degree. I would disagree with the solution of a national healthcare service. I believe that the probably the most effective solution would be to delineate the issue of healthcare to the states, allow states that do embrace single, or that would embrace single payer systems such as New York and California, to establish their own systems, and allow other states like Texas and Florida, which may be more hesitant and more willing to embrace free market approaches, to embrace free market approaches. And in order to effectively legislate this, I would probably approach this Congress, particularly the Senate, with a proposal to grant greater authority to states with regards to how they choose to license their doctors, and abolish institutions like the AMA, which have established a monopoly over the healthcare industry over the course of the last 60 years or so. Moreover, I believe that market-oriented solutions would be more effective in reducing the cost of healthcare for the ordinary American. Um, I'm I'm not sure about Senator Wheeler's position, but to all those that do disagree with that position, um, and that would, probably categorize a free market solution as serving the interests of monopolistic corporations. Let me ask you this. If the government is the sole player in the industry, are they not a monopoly? Who's to say they serve our interests?
1 minute,
Moreover,
Vice
this
President.
Okay.
1 minute remaining?
Correct.
Oh wow.
Right. Now, with regards to the question of what these monopolistic corporations have, or pardon me, with regards to the question about these monopolistic corporations, they are largely a result of government patents and of regulations and of barriers of entry into the healthcare industry that have prevented smaller pharmaceutical firms and smaller medical firms from medical research firms in particular from entering the industry and driving down prices and encouraging competition and growth in the
Thank
field.
you, Vice President. The same question will now go towards the President pro tempore, Mr. Wheeler. You have 3
You
minutes.
spoke for a long time. You want to give me an exact question, or just should I illustrate my healthcare policy?
Would you like me to ask the question again?
Sure.
Okay. The World Health Organization has recently categorized the second coming of the Spanish flu as an epidemic. Seeing a looming global health crisis coming towards the shores of the United States, adding on towards
Okay. I actually know.
over.
I get the question. Thank you very much.
Okay.
First of all, World Health Organization is a total sham. That's all that Megatron said. That's all that needed to be said. Total sham. No one should trust it. No one should work with it. No one should know it. It's funded by Klaus Schwab and the rest of the World Economic Forum. These are not conspiracy theories. These are simply the facts. And we have to, at the end of the day, break away from the global oligarchs and the corporate oligarchs, which are trying to take away sovereignty from not just America, but every other country on this face of the planet. It's not about any nation. It's about global oligarchs who want power which supersedes borders. That is unacceptable, and America is the only country which can deal with that and has the political power to deal with that. We need a president of the United States that's willing to deal with that. Okay, when it comes to healthcare is one of the most important issues in this country. Megatron and I think we should probably spend a lot of time on this. We disagree. The government is a monopoly. Are you going to make that same argument about roads? Are you going to make that same argument about everything that the government has to do in terms of no teleprompter here? Are you going to make that same argument about everything that the government takes care of? I think that's unacceptable. The government, at its original purpose, the principle of the government is to be a vessel of the people. It has not been that for the last 20, 30 some odd years. Unacceptable. It's anti-constitutional. It's unconstitutional. It goes against the Constitution. We have to have a president who's willing to deal with that, and when it comes to healthcare, that doesn't mean gutting every single healthcare law in this country. It does mean gutting a healthcare bureaucracy which forces doctors to spend 60% of their time.
1 minute. 1 minute, Mr. Senator.
I don't know about that, but okay. 60% of their time on administrative paperwork, which keeps them from actually doing care. That can only be done by a government which aids that administrative care and takes that done through there. I want to have a longer form debate on healthcare because I disagree with Megatron here. It's not about universal healthcare, but the government can provide insurance on the market to every single person, ensuring that every person has healthcare. That can be done cheaper than any other system in the history of the world. $30 trillion over 10 years. What is that? $30 billion a year. That's pretty simple. That's cheaper than any system that we have right now, because you know what our system is right now?
That's $3 trillion a year, actually.
Not true. First of all,
30
Respect
trillion
this time,
divided
Mr.
by
Vice
10
President.
years. Yeah, $3 trillion a year.
Okay, we have now
well, you're getting into
both your
numbers
times
here.
have now ended. We will now go to rebuttals. Would any of you like to rebut?
No, I mean,
Yeah,
first of all,
First off,
first of all, I got a
I
little
will.
excited there. First of all, let me just retract that.
One second. Let
Before
me
he can even
just.
debate it, before he could even
All
debate
right.
it, I'm retracting it. So you know what I meant there.
All right. Let me.
You know
I
exactly
will.
what I meant there, and the facts speak for themselves on that
I mean, the
issue.
$30
Gentlemen,
million.
I will.
We can talk about numbers. We can talk about numbers. I think it's because all of the government.
Gentlemen,
Hold on.
I will now
Let
go
me just
back
say
to
this.
the
Let me just
rules,
say this.
starting.
Moderator
Let me just say this.
intervention.
Let me just say this.
Hey.
Because we can talk about numbers, but I think what's most important is we have a fundamental philosophical disagreement on what the government is supposed to handle. I think we should
All right.
probably.
I will
vote on
now
that,
talk. I
because
will
that's what's
now
most important here.
bring back the rules, starting in this debate.
Please.
Saying that each question in which it is given to both given respected candidates will have 3 minutes to give a statement and to reply, and the same will be remarked towards a rebuttal. Now that we have that under control, would either candidate like to rebut either statement made?
I'd like to
yeah,
say
sure.
something beforehand
Okay.
as a moderator.
No.
Let the record show both are anti-globalist pigs. What
You
disgrace.
Kick him out.
You
Kick him out.
are an arm of the state, and no one likes you. And my first act as president will be to
True.
fire you from any job of government.
Gentlemen.
And my first act as General Secretary of
God.
NATO
Okay. Anyways, yeah, talk about
embargo
globalists.
the United States.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
Can we
Talk
go
about
back?
globalist for
all right.
Let's get back
embargoes.
to the
Globalist
debate.
for
Healthcare is an
embargoes.
important
Nice.
topic, and here because you asked the question, Jamal. I'll just take it from here so we can get back on track.
What?
Are you-
Wait.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Well, you were just
Wait,
talking about globalists or something. Let me just say this. Okay, here we go. Public option is what we need. People should be able to choose whether or not they want private insurance or the government insurance. It's not government healthcare. It's not government doctors. It's not death panels. I don't support any of that, and there's not a single person in government who does. What we can do is a non-bureaucratic. This would take a couple of cubicles in a government building. We could get rid of almost the entire Department of Health and Human Services and run an insurance program where everyone is guaranteed a small little card. You get a little card just like Social Security, and it says Medicare or whatever we want to call it. We could call it Megatron Care if we really wanted to do that. If that's the compromise here, we could call it Megatron Care. But what everyone would have as soon as you turn 18, because you as a child would be guaranteed already, as soon as you turn 18, you get a little card just like Social Security, Medicare, whatever it says. You go to any doctor in the country, any doctor, they provide you care. You don't get plastic surgery from this. You don't get any supplementals. For that, you go and you get a job and you get health care. You get good health care. That's the incentive to go get a job and go get good health care. This is how we have an insurance system, one of the greatest insurance systems in the history of the world, still running. One of the greatest doctor systems in the world, still running. And provide basic necessity for every single person in this country. Everyone at a certain point of their life needs healthcare. And if we as a nation
All right.
don't
Your
provide
time
this
has now
as we have
ended.
provided Social
All right,
Security,
well,
then we are failing
I'd like to
generations of people.
All right.
I'd like
I'd like
to
to
think.
recognize the president pro tempore as Bernie Sanders.
Anyway,
Man, well,
we
like
will.
this is great, man. I love when like globalists and like the Senate, and a senator tries to like preemptively, rebut the statement I never made. Anyways, if I can get back to the
Did you
issue
call
at
me a
hand here.
globalist?
No, I'm talking about the other guy. Like,
The vice
How
president has.
Secretary John
Okay,
Richards.
excuse me.
Like, we're gonna turn
Man,
this
can I
up.
I'd love to speak here. That would be so great. Can we just like
Yes.
kick
Yes. You
John
have
Richards?
Why
3
didn't
minutes.
Why didn't you
Vice
say
president.
Vice President? I'm talking.
All right. Well, anyways, no, I mean, like again, I'm a pragmatist with regards to economics. Mr. Wheeler could make these large claims about a non-bureaucratic healthcare service, but then again, we've seen what happened with Medicare. We have $100 trillion in unfunded liabilities with Medicare. It's not an effective system. We have the Department of Health. We have the Department of Health Services. We have the God knows what else, right? And this bureaucracy is formed largely from people who propose something along the lines of what Senator Wheeler is proposing. And, that's not to say Senator Wheeler has any wrong intentions or anything like that. I would never claim that. I assume, Senator Wheeler is operating on good faith because, let me and him share a common disdain for globalist scum, and we're willing to recognize that the real scourge on this nation are those like Secretary John Richards that actively undermine our nation's interest in order to appease some globalist and oligarchist kind of interest, some obscure. Regardless, the point being, I believe that there is a fundamental disagreement here, and it's a disagreement on the facts, and it's that I'm willing to recognize that national health insurance programs have failed around the globe, and that where there has been success in healthcare, there has been success in free market kinds of solutions, market-oriented kinds of solutions. That's not to say I deprive people. Name
All
one.
right, now
Let the record
that
show your campaign
name
has
one.
failed.
okay,
LASIK eye surgery in the
no,
United States. There
okay,
you go.
gentlemen, that
Name
now
another one.
conclude.
No,
That
name
now
name another one. The production of insulin in Canada.
okay, Mr.
You
Vice
want me to
President.
name another one? I can name a few others if
All
you'd
right.
like. If
Could-
you're willing to
We
give
can
me
go
my
off
3
of
minutes
those
here, Mr.
examples.
Jones.
Hey,
If you-
ladies,
Can someone
ladies.
get
Let's
Richards
not.
out of this debate? Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Someone needs-
seriously,
someone-
can I have my 3 minutes? Can I actually have my 3 minutes here? Like that'd be so nice.
Mr. Vice President, your 3 minutes
No,
has
I didn't have-
passed.
What?
We will yes, we
How
will
does
now
it pass?
Cutting off right there. Thank
we
you.
will now conclude that rebuttal, and we will.
Whoa, hold on there, Chuck.
Mr. Senator, you're not standing to the rules that were played out by this debate stage. Please respect the rules.
Important topic.
Man, this is a sham.
This
He's
is an
bought out by the
important
Democrats.
topic. Well, hold on.
This
How is
okay.
Jamal bought out by the Democrats? He's
We
stopping
will-
me right here. If anything,
Yeah,
he's
you tell me.
If
You
anything,
tell
he's-
me.
If anything,
Yeah,
he's-
I'm
if
demanding my
anything-
time. I'm
if anything,
demanding my
he's
time.
moderate- If anything,
Someone-
if
can
anything-
somebody
if
mute
anything-
both of them?
Moderator,
If anything,
I believe
he's-
the moderator is trying
Get
to
him out of
speak.
here.
So if you
I'm
speak
gonna
over
mute- I'm just
Jamal
gonna
one
mute
more
John
time,
Richards.
I'll be
Yeah,
very
if
I'm just
anything-
gonna mute John Richards. I'm just gonna mute
If
John
anything-
Richards because he's not worth
If
listening to.
anything, Jamal
Okay,
is bought
all
for
right.
you. If anything, Jamal is bought for you.
Hey,
because he's
Doug,
trying
you're getting
to
all the
cut off-
time here.
He's trying to cut
Gentlemen.
off the healthcare debate. You got 2 3-minute sections. I got 1 3-minute section. You're saying I got all the time. Yeah, that's not true.
Dude,
let me
literally,
just-
you
let me
got
get-
2 3-minute
let me
sections.
get
You got a
1
3
minute
minute and 1
rebuttal. Let me
minute
get a 1-minute rebuttal, Jamal. Just 1 minute. Thank
No,
you.
this is not fair. What are you talking about? I got a 1 minute rebuttal. You're getting 7 minutes.
Both of you-
American people
Four
care
minutes.
about
both of you
healthcare.
need to
They
calm
don't care
down.
about what time it is. They want healthcare.
All right.
They
Can we
want
just
All right,
move
so
on
I
from
will be
healthcare?
shutting
Can
this
we just
down.
move
Let me
on
get
from
1
healthcare?
minute. Let me get
No,
1 minute. He said
I want-
inaccuracies. First of all,
As-
I'll just
as
say this
the-
really quick.
Synthesization of
I'll
insulin.
just say this really quick then. The Medicare thing,
No.
not true. Medicare has become a bureaucratic system because we've put in
Mr. Senator.
because establishment
Senator
Democrats
Wheeler.
and
Oh,
Republicans
man.
throughout the 2000s
Oh,
put in Medicare X, Medicare Advantage, Medicare B, all these separate Medicare supplemental plans which have stuffed Medicare, made it more bureaucratic, made the principles more bureaucratic, has gutted the principle of the system. I mean, we can go back to a time where Social Security was written on a piece of paper that had 38 pages. Okay? This is not something that needs to be bureaucratic. Medicare has been taken over by bureaucracy. We have to gut that bureaucracy and move us to national healthcare system. He brings up
Mr. Senator.
Yeah, but
your
who's to say
time
that
is
doesn't? But who's
over.
to say that bureaucracy doesn't emerge
I thought
in
we
the
were just
long
talking
term?
about time. But
Yes.
the
This-
bureaucracy
Wow,
does
this
the
guy,
bureaucracy.
this guy,
we want to
man.
talk. Well, this is
We
actually-
will-
no, this
we
is-
will
this
not
is-
be
Ladies and
moving
Jamal,
on to
gentlemen,
come on,
the
Senator
next-
Wheeler,
Jamal,
this
a
is
good
the
conversation.
man.
He just said
This is the
something
man you're gonna
We-
send.
Well,
This
we
is
will
the
now-
man
we
you're
will
gonna
now be
send
mo-
to
gentlemen.
Pakistan to talk about global peace.
Gentlemen,
All right.
can somebody
Well,
mute both of them?
let's stop it here. Let's
No,
stop
no,
it here.
somebody needs to mute both of them.
We'll get to foreign policy eventually, Megatron, and we'll have that debate. I'm happy.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
happy
The
to have
next
that debate.
question,
No, Jamal, stop. Let me just
Senator
let me just say
Wheeler,
this really
you're being
quickly.
very
Let me
disrespectful.
just say
And
this
this
really
guy's
quickly.
gotten like 9 minutes of time. I've gotten 4 minutes.
Let me
This
just
is
say really
ridiculous.
quickly. Let me just say this very quick.
No, you spoke enough. We're going to the
In
next
second
question.
debate, we can cut off our mics.
We are going
You
to the
can
next
cut
question.
off the mics in the second debate, but let me just say this.
The
really
next
quickly.
question
Dude, Bob
is,
on Gould.
for the
Let's go
Bureaucracy,
to the next question.
bureaucracy can only be
Oh,
stopped
my.
by persistence
somebody
of
mute
government.
him?
Courage
I can't
and
mute.
political courage. There's no law that can stop bureaucracy.
next question for both candidates. And for this question is first,
I'm winning this debate right now.
marriage between a man and a woman. That was stricken down by the Supreme Court. as to say gay marriage is also a part of the Civil Rights Act. My question is to you, Senator Wheeler, as both candidates here have espoused their support for decentralization and giving more power towards the provinces. What is your reaction and what is your plan as president if the same type of issue was faced in your administration? You have 3 minutes.
I need you to restate the question because you kicked me out of the debate stage and I heard only half of it.
Love to restate the question. A month ago, the Supreme Court had ruled the executive order made by the former governor of New England, ensuring the constitutionality of marriage between only a man and a woman. The Supreme Court had recently struck this down. And my question was to you, Mr. Wheeler, as both candidates here on this stage have supported more powers towards the provinces. What is your reaction towards the decision made by the Supreme Court, and what would you do in your administration if either in the situation of either supporting more power to the provinces or ensuring some sort of federal oversight over what happens and what goes down?
Look,
you have 3 minutes.
Okay, I hear you. This is a very important topic. You got a bunch of millions of people in this country who identify as homosexual. Whether that's a man dating a man or a woman dating a woman, it happens. Everyone's got a family who has a person's family. I believe in liberty as a principle. It's enshrined in our Constitution. Everyone has a basic right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I have my personal religious beliefs. I think we all do. But those personal religious beliefs, in my opinion, cannot be enshrined if they infringe on someone's liberty. The Equal Protections Clause, the rights for everyone, civil rights for people have to be enshrined in this country, and a Wheeler administration will absolutely enshrine those rights. I've faced this as a black man in America. I know very well the issues of civil rights in this country, very firsthand. I sound white, but I assure you I'm black. Look, this is a persistent issue, just like bureaucracy. No law will ever totally solve this. It's only going to be solved by consistent respect for human dignity and love for community and one another. That starts at leadership. And when we have a president who's willing to protect the rights of all Americans to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, standing up, proactive, and being engaged with all Americans, then we can move us to a situation where we can have a national sense of identity once again, where we feel a sense of mutual respect once again. And if anyone commits any heinous or violent act against any group of people in my administration, I can assure you that I will direct the Attorney General to stand strong and firm, prosecute those people, and have the situation dealt with in a expeditious manner. And if the situation requires it, we will direct governors to use their National Guards to handle the issue. People's rights need to be protected. But that does not infringe on my basic principle of people should be able to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The states should be able to make the decisions for them.
Thank you, Senator Wheeler. Your time is now done. The exact same question will now go to Vice President Megatron.
Well, fundamentally, I stand against homosexual unions. I believe that a union is between a man and a woman, and that's where marriage should stand. That's how it was enshrined by the Christian church, by whether it be a Baptist church, a Catholic church, a Protestant church. That is what a union is. I stand opposed to homosexual unions of all and any kind, and I will oppose homosexual unions. I do not believe they are constitutional. I do not believe a homosexual union is to be conflated with a conventional union. I would support any state contest of this egregious Supreme Court decision that enables these parties, whether these liberalistic parties, to defile what it means or to evaluate what it means to be in a union, to be in a marriage. And I believe that this issue, in particular, the marriage issue, if not homosexual union, if we do not ban homosexual unions outright, should at the very least be given back to pastors, should be given back to parishes, should be given back to churches for them to come to their own conclusions, rather than have the state intervene and force churches and parishes to honor homosexual unions, despite the fact that it may oppose their own religious values. Moreover, with regards to the issue of protecting people's rights, quote unquote, I think there is a limit on people's rights. You know, while I do recognize people's liberty, I do believe that there is a certain degree in which a government must intervene in order to preserve social decency, in order to preserve a social fabric, in order to ensure that a nation remains a dignified nation. You know, our embrace of homosexuality in recent decades has in many ways made our nation a laughing stock. Frankly, I mean, if you go to the Middle East, if you go to Saudi Arabia, if you go to China, if you go to India, if you go to Russia, they're laughing at us. These are our competitors here. These are people who own nuclear arms. I mean, what if I'm sorry, but what has this recognition and this normalization of homosexuality done other than expose our children to indecency, other than tear apart our social fabric, other than completely erode what it means to be in a union, in a marriage, and other than lead our children, frankly, to get molested? Because I mean, that's the real issue I see here. It's these groomers in schools and parishes molesting children, and I believe that this should be opposed wholeheartedly. And I think that anyone who has any semblance of understanding of the issue of homosexuality understands that these are not some people that we need to appease. This is a mental issue. This is something that needs to be resolved. It's not something that needs to be catered. It's not something that needs to be embraced. It's something that requires resolution. It requires solution. It requires, yeah, it requires rewiring, frankly. And I'm not willing to stand here and entertain these delusions about a homosexual parity with conventional unions. No, no, sirree.
No sirree. Wow, you really hearkened to the 40s there, as you did in your whole statement. Here we go. Well, here we go. As you did in your whole statement.
We will now move towards rebuttals.
You
You both have 3 minutes to rebut. Go at it.
Okay, well, thank you. Look, that was insane. I've heard a lot of things about why America has become a laughing stock. Homosexuality is not one of them. That's the first time I've ever heard that. In my opinion, America is a laughing stock because we spend $2 trillion effective budget every year on maintaining a global police state, while every country in the nation, in the world, asks us to stop, other than the United Kingdom and other countries which have defense contractors which equally benefit and profit off of this. That's what's making us a laughing stock. Maybe it's the low-cut jeans a little bit, but we sort of stopped that in 2007. They don't really care about our culture. Our culture is dominant. If you ever played Civilization 6, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is about equal protection under the law. Every single person is entitled to it, and what Megatron is talking about here would require a large government. I mean, he spent this whole first debate saying, "Oh, you're the one who supports bureaucracy." Even though he says he doesn't, he does. Even though he just said that he doesn't support civil unions, he doesn't support homosexuality, and would stand opposed to it because it erodes the culture, in his opinion. What would it require to stop people who are gay from engaging in civil unions or homosexual behavior? It would require police monitoring people and making sure they aren't gay. It's happened across the world before. It's not unprecedented. That, to me, is absolutely unconstitutional. It's against what America is about. I have my personal beliefs, like I said in my answer originally. Those personal beliefs cannot, if they do, be put into law to infringe on someone's liberty. It's unconstitutional. I, as president, will protect every single person's right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I will enshrine equal protection under the law, because we, if we want to be taken seriously as a nation, should take each and every human being in our nation seriously. A nation's worth is based on how they treat their elderly and their children. That's it. We treat our children like absolute shit. We educate them with garbage. Hold on. What? We educate them like garbage.
Well,
And
Okay, this now concludes the rebuttal.
What?
Yes, it's been 3 minutes.
We treat our elderly
So,
people like shit.
gentlemen, we will now move towards open discussion. During this open discussion, both candidates will have from excuse me.
I was disconnected.
Oh, sorry. I didn't disconnect you, but both candidates will have 5 minutes to ask each other questions.
Can I provide my rebuttal to his statement? I mean, you allowed people to provide rebuttals, right? I mean, that was part of it. Isn't that like a part of this debate?
Okay, I will, Mr. Vice President, excuse me. I will extend it to 10 minutes, so you can first start out with your rebuttal, and then you both can ask each other questions on the opening discussion.
All right, fair enough.
Mr. Vice President.
Okay. Let me start off with rebuting or rebuffing what Senator Wheeler has said regarding the state. Homosexual unions are a positive right, not a negative right, meaning that homosexuals would have to engage in marriage for it to be regulated. It's not something we have to, dedicate much of a garrison or a bureaucracy to. I mean, I assume you know the difference. It's not like I'm banning breathing here. I'm banning engaging in certain activity. That doesn't require much regulation. Moreover, I think that regulation
on alcohol didn't require.
Pardon me. Am I talking or are you talking here? Excuse me. Am I talking or are you talking here? Excuse me. Am I talking or are you talking here, buddy? All right,
I was talking.
Let's be civil here.
You're allowing me to interrupt
excuse me. Am I talking or are you talking?
I think
don't
should
talk.
Just continue on instead of.
All right. Anyways, the point being, right? Homosexual unions are not legitimate unions. Obviously, I reject all forms of violence. I do not believe that police should or law enforcement should engage with homosexuals in violence. I believe that's evil. Frankly, because I believe engaging with people in general with violence is evil. I believe that sometimes it is necessary, but for the most part it isn't. And I believe the way we have to address homosexuality is by resolving it. I think it's something that requires resolution. It's something that requires solution. It's not natural. It's not something that is found in nature. It doesn't respect the natural hierarchy of things. It spits in the face of God, and its existence in this nation undermines our Christian principles that founded our nation. John Adams said that the Constitution would, and you talk about unconstitutionality frequently throughout the course of this debate. John Adams, one of the drafters of the Constitution, a person who signed the Constitution, he said that a Constitution only applies to a moral and Christian people, right? So where are Christian values if we accept these homosexuals within our society? Are we not undermining our Christian values? How can we have a Constitution if we undermine our Christian values? I mean, you talk about our founders, you talk about our Constitution, but then again, you clearly contradicted when you endorsed these lunatic, when you endorse this kind of lunacy with regards to homosexuality. No, I believe that homosexuality should be prohibited. I believe that homosexual unions should be barred completely, and I believe this nation ought to realize that, frankly, we are the laughingstock of the world because of our policy with regards to homosexuality. Anyone who spent any time in the Middle East, any time in Europe, any time in Eastern Europe or in Eastern Asia recognizes this because they've been in the same discussions where these individuals talk about how insane we are with our policy with regards to homosexuality and how much of a tragedy it is that our children are getting molested by these deviants. Now, with regards to the questions I'd like to ask Senator Wheeler here, I'd like to ask him with regards to his well, I have 10 minutes, so I guess I'm
correction. Both candidates have 10 minutes on an open discussion asking each other questions.
Yeah, right. I'm ridiculous because I was the one who was given 18 minutes to provide a rebuttal with healthcare, right? No, because I was the one who provided 18 minutes to give a rebuttal on healthcare,
Well,
right?
I thought you were talking about how gay people.
All right,
are
how
evil.
about
I
this?
think
How
you
about
should
this?
just
Jamal,
continue on
Mr.
telling us how
Jones,
gay
Mr.
people are
Jones,
evil and
Mr.
should
Jones,
be beaten and
Mr.
are going to
Jones.
hell.
Beaten. Pardon you. I never said beaten. Don't put words in my mouth. I didn't put words in your
Well,
mouth. I've been engaging in this in good faith. I mean, you've had your little slight remarks throughout the course of this debate, but I've never partaken in any of that because I believe that's under me. I'm the vice president of this nation.
Did
You're
you
a senator.
inhale?
You should know better. Anyways,
Oh,
Jamal Jones, I
very
believe that the best way we
condescending.
should
Very
conduct.
condescending.
Really, I'm the one who's being condescending here. Wow, that's quite rich. I think the best way to handle this is to have a 10-minute discussion back and forth. We ask each other questions. I think that's the best way to do it. All right, Mr. Jones. Well, Mr. Wheeler, I'd like to
Like
ask
I
for your
said,
position.
please continue.
I'd like to ask you. I'd like to ask for your opinion with regards to why our nation's laughingstock. I mean, what is
Well,
your
I said it already.
What is your rebuttal to this?
$2
what is your rebuttal to
trillion
the
dollars
fact-
a year for the last
Pardon me.
20 years.
Let me finish my question.
On
Let me
a
finish my
global
question.
police state, which every nation in the country, majority of nations have asked us to stop. That's what's made us.
And
laugh.
that's why China and India and Russia hate us. Come on.
Chi-
Yeah. That's why they laugh at us.
China.
Yeah.
What about China? Who's China hates us? China loves us. They love the money they make off of us. They love the exploitation that we give us because we give them billions and billions of free money. Free money. And exactly. Who cares? I care if America
Well, they're
likes
nuclear
us.
power. No,
well,
they're nuclear power. I certainly care. I
I-
certainly care if they hate us. I'd like to partake
Well,
in world peace, actually. I'd like to
that's
partake
a-
in trade. I'd like to
So
partake
you're saying
in
I'm against world peace? Is that your
Yeah,
position?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
Huh,
if you're not
we
willing
didn't
to
even talk
recognize
about foreign
no, because if
policy.
you're not, no, if you're not willing to recognize
China
that we are a
will be
lapdog,
dealt with.
and you're willing to partake in
We
this
will have a trade
escalationist
policy.
discussion.
We will have a trade policy which supports Americans, not China.
Absolutely.
And China will
Absolutely.
respect us for that because we will be dealing with them as equals, not as a shell state which gives them free money. They laugh at us right now because we have given them billions and billions of dollars of free money. Yeah, they are a nuclear state. But right now, China isn't planning on nuclear war with us. It wouldn't be
Really?
it
I mean,
wouldn't
they
be
planned on
beneficial
it
to
with
China.
India. I wouldn't put it past them.
India
I wouldn't put it
is
past them.
us.
Actually-
I mean, we are.
No, we're
we are
Western
India.
aligned. India's Western
That's a nice
aligned, and we
straw
have
man there.
guarantees. We actually have guarantees with Pakistan and India. So yeah, actually, we were about to go to war. I think John Richards knows quite a great deal about this. I mean, he was the one proposing it. I was the one who struck it down and actually engaged in peace talks with the Indians, with the Chinese, and with the Pakistanis, and I was able to resolve the issue. The point being here, they don't respect us. They don't respect our guarantees, and that's why they bomb our diplomats and embassies. And that's why I think that this nation ought to restore its sense of character. That's why I believe it's much more important that we improve
First
our
of all,
qualitative
I'm
well-being
reading
alongside our
something from I'm
quantitative
reading something
well-being.
from the general chat. I do support. No corporation will be offshoring its taxes under a Wheeler administration. We will deal with corporations and how they
Neither
have
alongside a
subverted-
Tron
not-
administration.
and how
I
they've
think
subverted the
no,
tax
no.
code. And we are going to be dealing with
we're
that
on the
very
same
clearly.
page here.
And
I think
well,
we're on
then
the
you
same
just told,
page
well,
here.
we're on the same page, but I want nuclear war. We're on the same page, but I
Yeah,
want nuclear war.
but you do
That's
want
so
nuclear
funny.
war
That's so
because
funny.
you're willing to partake in
I want
escalationist
nuclear
discussions
war.
because you're
Oh,
not
wow,
willing.
okay.
Yeah, you do. You
I'm
do.
not
Actually.
willing to support negotiations. I have on the Foreign Affairs Committee dealt with China. We've worked with China. I'm willing to meet with Xi Jinping in my first day in office. We got our problems with Xi Jinping. The only way to deal with them and to work them out is to meet with them and to work with them. That's the only way. So
Yeah,
your
it is.
assumption that your assumption that I would not.
Well, you're willing to
Yeah,
partake in escalationist discussions.
I would not. Meet
No,
with
I mean
Xi.
I don't support China either. I mean my record speaks
Escalationist
for
discussion.
itself.
The only
Yeah,
policy
escalationist
the
discussions.
only
I've
policy
been
you've allowed me to
pro-tariff.
the
I've
only
been
policy
pro-tariff. I've been
the only
pro-tariff for
policy
as
you've
long as
allowed
I've
me
been.
to say because you've gone on since 45 minutes. I've been looking at the time here. You've been
45 minutes.
no.
Oh,
Since the
big God.
45-minute mark. We're at 53 minutes. I don't know what the time is. Since the 45-minute mark,
I've been going
talking.
out since the
You
four-
talked about
actually, I've
gay
been going out
rights.
since
You talked about gay
49
rights, and
mark.
then I started
Actually-
talking, and you said I was for nuclear war. You haven't even let me get one point
Actually,
in.
I've been
the
I've
only
been talking
the
since
only
49
policy
minute
that
mark.
the
Actually,
only
I have a
policy
timestamp
that
right
I
here.
have supported so far and
Sure.
said that I have supported is trade policy, which deals with China. China will respect us because of that, because we'll
Yeah.
be dealing with them as equals.
Yeah, they
Anyone
will.
who has any.
They'll still laugh
Right,
at us
so you
because
totally
we
agree with
accept
us. Thank you.
homosexuality.
Thank you so
No,
much.
but they'll still laugh at us because we still fuck each other in the ass and we partake in sodomy. So yeah, no, I don't think that.
What does that have
I
to
don't.
do with trade policy?
All right,
or
gentlemen, you
foreign
have
policy?
No,
1 minute.
it's
You have
absolutely
1 minute.
disgraceful. Sodomy should be banned. That
So
nonsense
now
should be done away
we
with.
went from China, trade policy, nuclear
but they laugh
war,
at us.
to fucking in the ass and sodomy.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
president
yeah,
right
because
there,
that's what
folks.
it's about. Yeah, that's what it's about. Because that's
Is
what you
this
don't
who you
understand.
want
Because
negotiating?
you haven't spent a significant amount of time in these places, Mr. Wheeler, and I excuse your ignorance.
Whoa,
right, for
whoa,
that.
whoa! I was in the Navy. I've spent significant.
You were in
time.
the
I
Navy?
was in
Oh,
the
but
Navy.
oh yeah,
I was
but
on
were
the
you in
Foreign
those
Affairs
smoky?
Committee
Were you in
every-
those smoky
I was
rooms? Were you in the
stupid.
smoky rooms talking to these
I was in-
diplomats, talking to these
I was
people?
actually because I was in
You
the Foreign
were?
Affairs
Really?
Committee.
Were you the one who resolved the war in India? Were you the one who resolved the war in Syria? I don't think so, big guy. Right? And that's
All
what
right, first of
differentiates
all-
me between
first of
you.
all-
I'm an experienced diplomat. I actually understand
No,
how
you're
these
not.
things
First
work.
of all, you
I
can
go to
oh,
other
thank you.
nations. I understand
The
foreign
events mod
perspective.
just said we're not, and every single
no, I'm
person
gonna
who
intervene
every
because
single.
this-
Well, no,
Pardon
John. Let me
me?
just say this. Let me say
Hold
this
on,
before you say
I'm
it.
Kick him out.
Every single events mod.
All right, no, gentlemen.
No, whoa.
The
you
the
just
open
got it. What the
discussion is
hell?
over.
No, what?
You're
Absolutely
both-
not. I do
It
not
is
get 10
11
minutes.
o'clock. Your 10 minutes have ended. We
No, no,
will
no,
now
no, no.
go
I will
to
continue
we
on.
will now go to
I
closing
will
statements.
say it right now, Jamal.
We will go to closing
John,
statements.
kick him out. John, kick him out. Take control, John.
Kick who out?
I get 10 minutes. This
10
is
minutes.
this is
What the-
ridiculous. You got 10 minutes.
Wow,
I get
this
10
is a
minutes.
sham
We're at
debate.
50
John-
we're at
Jamal
55. We're
Jones.
going to an hour and 5.
Jamal
and that's
Jones.
It.
Jamal
10
Jones.
I get 10
Clearly,
minutes to talk.
an unbiased
all right.
speaker.
Hey,
Unduly coup d'etat. It really shows.
Let me
Really
just say
shows.
Let me just say this.
If you're not
we went
gonna
on
let
for
a person
50
speak, then I'm not
he
gonna
went
let
on
you
for
talk.
15 minutes. I'm going to say this, okay? I'm going to say this. He went on for 15 minutes, all right? He went from China to sodomy, from nuclear war to sodomy. Somehow that is, wow, that was incredible. That was an incredible rant. And then somehow I support nuclear war from it. I don't know how he got that. Under a Wheeler administration, foreign policy will be dealt with in a timely manner and an open manner. We will be transparent with the American people, proactive and engaged. Unlike Megatron. First of all the events mods, John Richards, everyone will concur with this. You were not a engaged member with the events. You come
Pardon me, that's absolutely bogus. I
come
rebuke
in
that
here-
completely
you
and
come in
wholeheartedly.
here-
I was the one who led the American
Am I
diplomatic
right or-
effort in
am I
South
right or am
Asia
I
and
wrong,
Syria.
John? I'm gonna
John
fact
Richards
check
is
on that.
wrong. John
John,
Richards is wrong.
I'm
John
gonna fact
Richards
check.
has
John-
had John
You
Richards
fact
has had a
check
thing
it.
against
Fact
me
check
this
it
entire time,
immediately.
and it really goes
I'm
to
not a fact check.
This
on
is a
that.
fact check. This is a fact check. First off, you, Vice President Megatron, didn't do jack shit with negotiations.
really goes
Thank
to
you.
show.
Well, thank you very
Wheeler-
much. Megatron gets on here after not
I'm trying-
posting
I'm
a
trying
single
to-
thing for his entire vice presidential term. He needs
Let
something
me
to
speak.
run on, and he says, "Oh, I went into smoky back rooms and I did this and I did that." And he says this and I did that and I did this. It's not true. It's just not true, folks. It's just not true, folks. And you know it, and I know it. The American people know it, and we, at the end of the day, know that the only candidate who has actually been proactive and engaged for these last 8 weeks, including President Reagan, that's why he didn't run, is me. That's
why you
the only one.
sabotage our budget, right? How many times?
Sabotage the budget. President Reagan waited 3 weeks before he introduced the budget, and then
Yeah, this debate's over. It's ridiculous. I'm gonna unmute John Richards.
President Reagan waited 3 weeks before he introduced the budget. 3 weeks. We were in a debt crisis for an entire week. That didn't come. I
Sabotage
have
the budget
I
9,
haven't
10 times.
I
How
haven't
many times did I put a
I
budget on
haven't
your desk?
have-
Remind me
I
again.
have not seen this.
Remind me again.
When has the
How many times?
There's not a single
how many
budget in the
times?
budget committee. There's not been a single
I've
budget
put
in the budget committee.
on your desk 4 or 5 times in my entire campaign.
There's
in my
not
entire
been
campaign in the House of
in
Representatives.
your campaign
in
the House
yeah,
of
my
Representatives.
campaign.
That was a different presidency, my friend.
career in the House.
That was
yeah,
that was a
House of Reps.
different presidency,
Right, every
big
time,
buddy.
And every time you shot it down because you don't serve the interests of the American
Shot it
people.
down.
You know, you talk a big game.
I introduced amendments in every single one of those budgets, and
All right, as far as I'm concerned, this debate's over.
as far as I'm
concerned,
concerned, the budget was amended, and we had an amendment process. You and I were working cordially together, and you're going to come out in here and say, "Oh, you did this
we're
and you
working
did that."
cordially together.
We on
you
the
shot
budget.
it down.
That's not
made
true.
me do all
That's
the work.
not
Yes,
true.
you did. Yes, you
I
did.
have the
because you
budgets,
made me
I have
list.
the
Yeah, I have
amendments,
the budgets too, and I have
and
the
you
editing history of
introduced
the
a new
budgets. You
budget,
want
the
to show?
season
No.
3
How about we show
budget,
the?
that
No, how
included
about we
every
show the
single one of
edu-
my amendments, and I can go back to.
How about? How
I'll
about
go
yeah?
back to my
So appease you,
PMs
and you
with
still shot
the
it
speak.
down.
I'll go back
And
to
you
my.
still shot it down.
No, I
And you
didn't.
still
This
shot it down.
season
What does
3,
that say about
the
you?
season 3 budget didn't even come out before the Senate. We have not
Yeah,
seen a
because
budget
you didn't.
yet.
You never put it forward. Because you never put it forward.
That's not true. I have
Because
not
I
received
amended
a
it, and you never
budget.
put it
I've not
forward.
received a
Because you never
budget.
put it
I've
forward.
not received a
Come on,
budget.
that's
So
complete lunacy. Everyone who knows
everyone
anything
is
about the
everyone
budget knows that
can
you're
go
false
to the
here.
Senate
Anyone
channel.
who knows anything about
Every
the budget
single
knows that
person.
you were the main roadblock.
Every
You were the
single
main roadblock
person. That's not
between
true.
ourselves and a surplus. Absolutely.
Okay.
Anyone who knows anything about it.
Between
and with
us and
regards
a
to this
surplus.
John Richards fella
You
saying
can't
that
even
I
name the
didn't resolve
facts.
South Asia, pardon me.
You have the events mods proving you're
The
wrong.
events mod, the same. No.
You
The
have the events
warmonger.
mods proving you're wrong. You have the Senate open. Everyone.
Fucking time. You stop.
You have the
talking
Senate
over one
open,
another.
and you can.
you-
You have the Senate
Hey, Rob.
open. Just mute him for a
Robert.
second. Just server mute him.
Robert.
Just server mute him.
I can't.
Server mute me. If you server mute, no. Let's get something.
Okay, folks.
Here's
Let's
the-
get something straight.
I'm fucking.
Let's get
talking.
something straight. The Senate community is open for all of you to see. John Sherman, Brian Hernandez, Ezekiel, Poseidon, Governor Bob, Michelle, Joseph, Robert, Justice Jamal, President Reagan, and McAfee. You all can go into the Senate and see what Megatron was talking about. The budget has not been introduced. If I need to, I'll release my PMs. I don't think I need to. With the Speaker, with President Megatron, with President Reagan, I have not received a budget from the Speaker that's passed the House. It's just not happened. Once I've received it, that will immediately go before the Budget Committee, and we will put the Senate in an emergency floor session and vote on that budget. I've said that from the very beginning. Vice President Reagan is going to get on here and say, you did this, you did that. Not true. Not true.
Back. All right, I can let the PPT back up, and he can give his closing, and then I'll let the vice president back up. You can start.
I look forward to a second debate. Maybe we should have some better moderators. I don't know. I liked Jamal. But this
I
is
was here the whole time.
this is an important. Well, you could have talked any time. This is an important time in this country, clearly. The passions are high. The people are engaged. There's a lot of issues at stake. We can either have someone who should clearly go be a pastor at a Christian denominational church, and I would welcome it, but probably go to some of your sermons. Running for president of the United States, saying that a whole sector of people should not be what they want to be. It's unacceptable in my opinion. Claiming that they fuck each other in the eye, all this stuff, sodomy, that gay people are all molesters. That's ridiculous. There's been molesting for generations. He ranted about that for 10 minutes, and then the moderators cut me off. I didn't even get my 10 minutes, and we got kicked out a bunch of times. That was crazy. That was crazy. And beneath the American people. Megatron's going to get up here and say a lot of things in a very impassioned voice that I'm sure we're all eager to hear again. But let us be clear. There has been one person, every mod, every person in the Senate, whether they agree with me or don't, every person in the House, whether they agree with me or don't, Bernie Obama, who is someone who will get on here and say I rigged an election against him, will even agree with this. There has been one person who has had proactive and engaged leadership in this community, who has restored an entire legislative body from its death pin, who has rewrote an entire rule book, who has passed big legislation which has protected the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness of every American in this country, and is ready to do that for the entire community as president of the United States for 8 weeks. That's why I'm running for president. We can have a community of the American election community, a new era of politics. This isn't about party. It isn't about personality. It shouldn't be about personality. It's about a new era of politics. Every single time that I've been in a political office, in a political community, I have gotten it done. every person who's been with me will confirm with that. Even the DES crowd who banned me because of it will confirm that. Okay? I am an impassioned person, sometimes polarizing, and I will say what I mean and mean what I say. Sometimes I'll slip up and say that $3 trillion is $30 billion a year. I apologize. But I mean what I say, and I say what I mean, okay? And folks, we can have a new country. We can have a country based on facts, unity, and a sense of national identity again. We can bring this community into a new era of politics, and I hope that I have earned your support in this campaign. And I look forward to the election on Friday, and I hope that we can have a second debate where we can get even further into the issues and really hone in on it. I appreciate John Richards organizing this at the end of this debate, and I appreciate Jamal for managing us. I mean, I understand we were both crazy, but these are crazy times. These are crazy times. So I hope I can earn your support in this campaign, and we will make America great again.
We came to an understanding with regards to the globalist interests that run the World Health Organization. We found ourselves in conflict with regards to the issue of homosexuality, homosexual unions, and we certainly found ourselves in conflict with regards to foreign policy and what that says about our nation. Now,
Wait,
with
let me
regards to Mark, I'm trying to get my close in close. All right. Anyway, with regards
Well, you didn't let me talk, so.
say about the course of this debate, I believe that it was hijacked from Justice Jamal Jones, who truly proved to be an effective moderator, by globalist shill John Richards. Everyone knows that he's a globalist shill. And I think it's important that the American people consider one thing. I was the only candidate willing to stand up on this stage, right? Take the Republican nomination, seize it, frankly, right? Come up on the stage and discuss conservative issues and conservative perspectives. You know, the conservatives of today are very different from the conservatives of the past. I came to this party, or I came to this server as an America First member, right? I was one of the founding members of the America First Party. And back then, Republicans didn't stand for anything with regards to social values. You know, they capitulated on every single issue. And look at where we stand now. We're on the brink of barring homosexual unions from the United States. We're on the brink of establishing a truly Christian nation and reviving our moral fabric and social character. Or a social fabric and moral character, pardon. Now, with regards to the issues at hand with foreign policy and the contradictions made, and with regards to the budget, all will be revealed, the truth will be revealed in due time, and these usurpers, these liars, will be found out and will be exposed for what they truly are. Now, I want the American people to understand one thing and one thing alone. I am, in effect, the person who resolved the issue in South Asia and in the Middle East. I am the person that has time and time again tried to propose budget after budget, written budget after budget, was the only one willing to write a coherent tax code, and was willing to resolve our budget deficit, even if it came at the expense of an increase in taxes or a decrease in mandatory and discretionary spending. I was the only candidate on this stage tonight that was willing to go above and beyond in his career in the House of Representatives and legislate countless bills, none of which were presented to the Senate because, again, you know, the Senate's incompetence. I think we're all painfully aware of that. And was the only candidate here who was willing to discuss the issues at hand, and that was the qualitative disrespect that we do receive from many of these nations across the globe because of our social policy. And I think it's important to recognize that while Mr. Wheeler's arguments do bear a great deal of merit, this nation does need a pastor as president. It does need a pastor as president. It does need a Christian as president. We don't need another atheist. We don't need another neoliberal. We don't need another shill. What we need is someone who's willing to take hold and restore the social fabric of this nation. Someone who's willing to hold the wheel and hold the line and finally put his foot in, and finally draw a line in the sand. The social deviancy, the social degeneracy, it needs to be rejected. And while we do agree with regards to the practicalities of power, and I'm sure we agree on the practicalities of governance, and this whole healthcare discussion, I assume is just a disagreement with regards to semantics. I think we're going in the same direction. I think we can come to a fairly honest and comparable kind of a comparable kind of compromise, but I do not feel as though we can capitulate on the social issue, and I implore any conservative, every nationalist in this nation, every person who has any form of dignity at all, to support the Tron campaign for president. And I look forward to Mr. Wheeler and I debating in the future. Thank you.
Oh my god.
You're a globalist, Shell. No one likes you, right? Can you stop talking? Thank you. Yeah, alright, that's real funny. Yeah, I'm gonna lose the race, because every prediction you made was wrong. Remember when you said I couldn't resolve the South Asia issue, and I did? Right. Yeah, that was real funny.
Well, let me just say this. I am no atheist. I am no... We're out of the debate now, so I'm just saying this, but I'm no atheist. I am no neoliberal. That's absurd. Love to get into that in the next debate. And first of all, love budgets. I never saw whatever you said, 19 bills. I was not at the Bohemian Grove. I have to tell you this right now.